All right, we are back and we have a new guest today. A
Episode
diva,
two,
as I like to call
besties.
her. Her name is Toaster, and she's gassy as fuck.
Welcome to the podcast, Toaster. We
And
are so honored to have you. Haley is now a mother.
I am a mother.
Big life
I'm a mother.
updates.
Look at how little she is. Look at.
Oh my god. Toaster, we were like, I don't know if y'all noticed, we had mics last time, and we don't this time because technology is hard and because Toaster thinks that wires are snacks.
Yes, she had her first vet appointment today, and she was everyone's favorite. Everyone was
Yes.
fucking obsessed with her. She was such a good girl. Um,
As they should be.
yeah, Toaster, are you comfortable? She's like, talk to the paw.
Oh, what a sweetie.
She dropped her seahorse.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, her fave.
Yes, her absolute fave.
Yes.
But oh, there you go, there you go. Yeah, it's just not girl aquatic as fuck, my guy. Look at you go. Nam nam nam.
Oh, her ears look so big on camera.
It's so crazy too because honestly, like her ears aren't that big in person. I like they're big, but like they're not as big as they look on camera. Um,
Right.
you got big ear energy. You do.
Big ear energy.
The biggest ear energy in the world. Yeah, you.
Yes.
Stop, you're embarrassing me.
Oh my gosh. She's like, Mom, like, this is too much stage time for me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Here.
So, today, we're here to talk a little bit more about pickaxe. Last week, or oh my gosh, not last week, we literally filmed the first episode like in April. So a few months ago, we talked about the writing and kind of like the process of how pickaxe came to be and sick and serving and everything. And today we kind of just wanted to talk about what production was like and kind of everything after, like what post creation was like and how we kind of got here. So basically, everyone knows that if you've been following us since like May, that we took a little trip down to Houston. Haley came to Dallas. We road tripped it. We went to Bucky's. It was so fun. But the production experience was interesting. Haley, do you want to take the lead on that?
Oh boy. Oh boy. We were expecting it to be a very, very fun and very easy and really creatively like freeing process. And it was not that in the room at all.
Right. And we want to preface this saying that, we're not out here trying to really drag anyone's name in the mud. So we're not here trying to start a war. We're not here trying to create, we're just here to speak our truth, basically. Like you know how we are with fanatics and reniacs. We are very honest, and honestly, our lives are super open books. We've kind of covered almost every single thing we've gone through. We're open books on the internet, and that is why we felt like we should share this with you guys because it's also kind of a, cautionary tale to other artists out there who, might be in a position where they think that this kind of behavior is normal, and it's not. So we're here to kind of, like we said, peace and love. We are not here trying to start things like this. We're past this. We have moved past this experience. This happened months ago, but we wanted to still cover it on here and be real with y'all. So,
Yeah.
Haley, you begin.
The pressure is on.
The pressure is on.
So before we met up in Texas to do this, we had a three-way FaceTime with this producer. And in this meeting, as you guys know, because like I've talked about this pretty openly online, like I love writing. I consider myself a singer first, but like I love writing, and then right after that, I really love vocal arranging. That's a huge part of my music. And I it's like pretty evident like all of my songs the vocal arranging part is a very 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 important part to me. And I had mentioned this on the three-way FaceTime, and this person had said, "Oh yeah, I'm a big vocal arranger too. This is gonna be super fun. We can bounce ideas off of each other," which is like how it normally is in the room, like with all of
Right.
the other people like that I worked with before. And also, before I get into this next part, I want to say, Rini, you had told me before, like you don't vocal arrange really, and so like and like that's not like me like trying to like shade. It's just like to add more to the more so.
Right. Yeah. The reason Haley is mentioning this is because it's important. Like all of these details are very important to the context of what happened. So I don't have much experience. Y'all know I don't know jack squat about music theory. Like that's just I was never taught that. I never went to music school. I'm kind of just out here winging it, to be completely frank.
And
And
you're winging
so
it
I
in
was.
an incredible way, my guy.
Thank you. Thank you. So I was like, wait, Haley is. So naturally, I'm like, well, this song would be super, super cool with tons of vocal range. I mean, what song wouldn't be? But especially this song. And I'm like, she should totally, like, go crazy with this. I'll learn from her. I literally told you, I was like, tell me what to do. Like, just tell me what to sing and I'll sing it. Like, I have no issue. Like, literally, like, critique me, tell me what to do, just do it. Like, that is what we should like that is for the greater good of the project, like
And like so because she had told me that like going into it, I was like, okay, great. Like I know exactly what I'm expecting here, but like this producer and I are but like we spoke about how like we're really into vocal arranging. So like it's not gonna be a big deal. It's fine. So we get into the studio and at first everything is like really cool, really chill. We're singing, whatever. And then we get all of the leads done, and then it's time for the vocal arranging part, and suddenly the entire mood shifts because of the producer. And like I don't I really I have spent a really long time thinking about this and the reasoning behind it. Rini and I have discussed in like great detail why we think
yeah.
it happened, and we kind of came to this conclusion. In the music industry, there are a lot of men that are in positions of power, and they sometimes see a pretty woman who is a good singer, and they think, wow, that piece of meat can sing. And then suddenly, when the piece of meat is good with technology, that's when there's an issue. And that's when they think, oh, they're trying to like upstage me in my own space. And which is like not the case at all. It's just like a woman can be good at
I think it's like a case of like they see and of course there's some incredible male producers out there that are not like this at all. Haley has a wonderful producer she works with. I have other producers I speak very highly of, but in this case and in a lot of cases, unfortunately, a lot of times men in the music industry will no longer view a woman as their collaborator but as their competition. And it's like that was kind of what the mood was switching into.
exactly, yeah. And the thing was like I was trying so fucking hard to like bounce ideas off of this person. And this
Yeah.
person, like I swear to God, it was almost as if they like were a child, and they were just kind of like sitting there silent, and they were like, oh no, like we're fine, like it's good enough, it's fine. It's like no, like at one point, oh my God, they were like, do we really need harmonies in the bridge? And I'm like,
It's the
and
bridge.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and also like not just that, like that's what like Rini and I like our the fanatics, the Reniacs, y'all know like the
Yeah.
bridge of our songs is like normally some of the most iconic parts of the song.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well,
like
and
and I was just like, oh my God, what? And so I was like, I didn't want to like be in this position to do this because I never I it's just like such an icky and uncomfortable feeling. But I was like, I feel like I'm like pinned up against the wall here, and I don't have a choice but to like lead the vocal arrangements in this room, because
yeah.
the person that told me they were going to be bouncing ideas off of me is suddenly like acting like a child when I'm giving ideas to them, and it's on camera, and like this person
Yeah.
knew it was on camera too, and they were
Yeah,
scared.
we completely asked for consent to film and everything. Like there was no shady biz like I said, like Haley and I came into this studio fully expecting to be like besties with this producer afterwards. Like we are like, this is gonna be such a fun experience. And I think to specify the behavior here of what was really happening, for example, Haley would give an idea and this person would take like 30 seconds to a minute to even acknowledge it. And I'd understand if they were just, needed to like process it and think about it a little bit, if the response was respectful, like it's everyone has a different workflow. And I think that's okay. It would have, I'm not going to lie, like at first, because I have worked with this producer in the past and it was more of a remote situation. So I really didn't know them that well. But I really didn't want to believe that this was a case of being actively passive aggressive and more of a miscommunication thing. But then as the session went on, it turned from that stuff like that to making comments like how you froze the session because you took too many vocals, like very just snarky comments that weren't necessary.
Yeah, and also like actually in the three-way call that we had, I I had made a statement that was a joke, but it wasn't really a joke about how like I've frozen producer sessions before because like of all of the layered vocals that I
Right.
had to do in these songs, and
And
this
it's very
person said
normal.
that's totally fine. So
Yeah.
then when it actually came time in the room, and like yeah, I can totally understand how something like that can be annoying. Whatever, technology is annoying sometimes, but like we as the artists paid the producer, we paid
Right.
this person, and at the end of the day, we are the client. The client is the creator of this song. The
Yeah.
producer is not the artist. The producer needs to respect the artist in the room. Otherwise,
Artist ultimately has executive authority there. I always equate it to like the film industry where it's like ultimately the director calls the shot at the end of the day, and that's what the artist is in this situation. And there was another example, we had cases where this producer was suggesting that we don't actually record some of the vocals and we just use like effects and like I'm not going to say AI because it wasn't AI, but it's
no.
like very AI adjacent.
So I wanted to do octaves, and like for people
Yes.
that don't know what octaves are, it's just like you sing it in one key and then you do it like you sing that same note, but like in the next.
Higher or lower.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say in the next octave. I'm like, wait, that's not. How the fuck do I explain what an octave is? But
Basically, like an octave would be like la, and then like the higher octave would be like la, like
yeah,
something like, like it's like head voice basically. Like I,
or
y'all
like
would, y'all will know when you hear it.
yeah,
Yeah.
or like lower, whatever. But like there were certain sections I wanted to do the higher octave and the lower octave. And the producer was like, "Oh, well, you can just sing it in the same key and then I'll just auto tune it up." And I was
And
like, "Wait, but why would you do that? Like I can hit the notes. I can like." And they were like, "Oh, well, it'll just take less time." I'm like, actually, no, it won't, and it sounds robotic. But I was like, you know what? Like I'm
if
gonna
anything,
be
it'll make
a
it
player
more of a
here.
pain for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a team player here. I'm gonna give it a try, and if I'm wrong, like I'll own it. I'll fucking own whenever I'm wrong. So, I gave it a try. We listened, and like both of us, this wasn't just me. Like both of us were like, oh, like this sounds robotic. Like it sounds
Yeah.
like don't really vibe with it. And then they started arguing with us when we were like, no,
Yeah.
I don't like this. Can we do it the same? Can we do it the way that we wanted? They started.
And this is an example of where artists' executive authority should have applied. And the thing that was frustrating too is we invested a lot into this trip. Haley flew all the way from New York. We did a road trip. We literally drove through a hurricane for this. Like, literally we had time. We were there for 2 days, like to record. There was no reason no one was sick. No one needed to save their voice. It wasn't a case of where we need to do this AI situation or octave situation on the computer because of those reasons. This was like it takes 2 seconds to record a higher octave. And it was stuff like that that was just like if this producer wants to do that, because this producer is also an artist themselves, which sometimes like there is that issue with there's a lot of producers that make their own music and they're wonderful and they're great, but sometimes the boundary of artist versus producer gets lost in translation and the producer starts acting like they're the artist on the song. So that was the kind of the case here where it was like, okay, this producer might choose to do that in their own music and totally respect that, but at the end of the day, they're not the artist on the project.
Exactly. Like because I moved to New York City, like I feel like I have started becoming a little bit more confrontational, a little bit more like, oh, like you're mistreating me. I'm not going to put up with this shit. Like, you should be grateful that I am in the room. I should not be grateful that you are giving me the time of day. And when you start disrespecting me, that's when I get pushed over the limit. And I'm not gonna like,
Yeah.
be rude about it or anything, but like I am going to start talking in like a little bit of a more stern voice. And once I bring out that stern voice, that's when people, specifically men, who don't want to respect women who know stuff about technology, start listening. And that's what I had to do. And it was incredibly uncomfortable. And it actually got to the point where Rini had, after the session, Rini had tried to talk to this person. And Rini,
Yes.
take the reins here.
So basically, Haley and I leave the studio. Obviously, we're kind of like, what was that? Like that. I was a little bit in denial, I'm not going to lie, because this person was not who I like. I just didn't expect this behavior from this person. So it was like I was caught way off guard. And I will say, y'all, like, I was kind of the neutral party in this situation here because the main conflict was happening between Haley and the producer because, as we stated earlier, I'm not a vocal arranger. So I was kind of just there to like be like, just, I was literally just telling me what to do. Like, I'm just there and I'm kind of watching this and I'm like, I smell a rat, like I smell something fishy here. Like, this is not normal. And I basically was like, so Haley expressed this to me, like, like, I really don't think he likes me. Like, that was really crazy. And I was like, yeah, there was something off. We pretty much were driving back to Dallas the same day, mind you, through another hurricane, another severe weather storm. And we're like, all right, we got to get the first set of notes back to the producer because we're like, we need to get this over to our mixing engineer. We didn't even tell y'all about the whole situation where the producer was like investigating the mixing engineer when the session froze. Side note, before we left the session, when Haley quote unquote froze the session, um, the producer didn't communicate this to us, and the producer was also setting very strict wrap times. Basically they were like, y'all gotta be out of here by 4. And we're like, okay. So basically that means that, yeah, we need to be pretty efficient with our time here, and not dawdle around, right? So we the session freezes. The producer does not tell us this, and we're just sitting here, and they start asking Haley about the mixing engineer we're going to use, and she mentions Ian Kimmel. Shout out Ian Kimmel. Princess Ian, as we like to call him. Queen Ian. We love Queen Ian. And yeah, and then the producer just starts Googling Ian, and like we're sitting here for like 15 minutes, like burning time, and at some point Haley had to be like, can we please get back to recording? And that is when the producer snapped and was like, well, you froze the session. Didn't even tell us this before. Otherwise, we would have totally been chill about having to wait a few minutes. But like, it was, again, so much miscommunication and just not good group work. And then, of course, coupled with the fact that there was definitely, like, I believe in my heart and soul, and that if we were not women in the room, that I don't think the tone would have been the same. They might not have been maybe they're not the best communicators, point blank period, with who they're working, but I definitely feel like the aggression would have not been there.
If you're not a good communicator, you shouldn't be a producer. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it the way it is, because
definitely not an in the room one, that's for sure.
It is teamwork.
It's all about communication. Yeah. So anywho, so we're driving back to Dallas. We send the producer the first round of notes, and in the notes we included that there was a part of the song where, like, Haley would have liked to have taken more vocals, but the environment of the room made her feel like she wasn't able to do so. Basically, the most polite way of saying, we're uncomfortable. That was uncomfy. Like, we were still trying to give the producer the benefit of the doubt here. We were like, if they apologize, maybe they were having, who knows, maybe they had the worst day of their life beforehand and they were just in the worst mood, and if they apologized and was like, actually like felt, could see our side of the story and acknowledge that, we probably wouldn't even be making this podcast episode right now. You know, like we were willing to forgive and
But it
like
was also
move on.
2 days. It was 2 days of this.
2 days of this, well, especially the second day. The second day was like, the first day was a little awkward, but the second day was the one that was like, you know, that
Yeah.
was a doozy. But we were kind of in the mindset of like, okay, we're kind of throwing the producer a bone here. Like, if they see this and actually, if they like came to us and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize my behavior was this way. Like, we would have been chill about it. You know, like we've dealt with a lot of crazy people before. Like, this is not anything new to us, unfortunately. It's not like we were ready to cancel this person immediately as soon as they did this. Like, we were trying to be civil about it.
Yeah.
And of course, the producer doesn't acknowledge this when they send the feedback from our notes. And I basically then go and text the producer privately because the producer and I had a more long, like we had a longer relationship than Haley did with them. I've done a couple of songs with this producer before that I had totally fine experiences with. Like I said, when we were working remotely, it was totally chill. I text them and I was like, hey, this is how Haley felt. I'm going to tell you, as the third kind of unbiased party in the room, I can completely understand why she felt this way. But like I said, I was throwing them a bone here. I was like, I really don't believe this was your intention. But I feel like if you work it out with her on the phone, like things, we can totally get this fixed and move forward, right? Like, we're being more forgiving than we really need to be here, right? Like, we're just trying to keep things civil. And pretty much, the response I get in text was, "Can I call you?" And I'm like, I'm not the one you need to call, you know? So I'm like, all right, sure.
And also,
And first thing they ask me are like, "Are you alone?" And you always know when someone starts a conversation like that, that it's just like, this is not going to be a fun conversation. Once again, y'all, I am the third party here, you know, like I am the mediator going on. So I don't know why the producer's really calling me right now because I'm not the person. Like, of course I was uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, the producer was more so being rude towards Haley versus me. I was kind of like victim by association, but like, I am not the one they need to apologize to. So
I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna put her back in her playpen. I'm back. Sorry.
Slay. No, you're good. You're good. She's a mother. Um, but yeah, so do you remember that TikTok that was like, "Bitch, I'm a mother, no drama."
Yes,
That's you.
that is me.
Uh, that's you.
I would also
So
say
yeah,
a single mom who works two jobs, but I'm not a single mom. I have a Preston who I love very much.
yes, he's a father now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the call just starts off where I'm like, hey, so yeah, like basically, like I said, I care about both of you. I really don't think this was your intention to make her feel this way. And I just think a simple conversation between the two of you is going to be good enough for us to move past this. You know, obviously, Haley, especially myself included, were like, this is definitely not someone we would choose to work with again, just because, of course, when you have an experience like that, that's just not, that's kind of obvious, right? But like, for the sake of the project, I was like, we really need to address this and get this like smoothed out in order for the sake of this collab to like get to the next stage, right? So yeah, so we pretty much then the producer gets really defensive and is basically just putting all the blame on Haley and is like, it was giving she's being too bossy vibes, and I'm like, well, and I honestly, if y'all know me, I'm not confrontational. I'm not good at really being firm. And I really wish I would have said this, but in my mind, I'm thinking, well, at the end of the day, she's your client. Like, regardless of how you feel about the situation, at the end of the day, you pissed off your client. You need to, like, fix it,
Also, the thing is like I had said before, I like when I am in the room, I am like literally ask anyone that I work with. Like I am the type of person to always bounce ideas off of people because like in no way do I think like I am like I am not the most talented person on the face of the planet. Like I'd like to think that I'm talented, but you know, like I'm not out here thinking like I'm some Celine Dion type shit, okay? So
Right.
like I always really want to have everyone's input on something because I truly believe that you can make the best product when there are multiple minds involved in it.
Of course. That's the whole point of being in the room. We could have literally recorded if this knowing what the situation was going to be, we literally could have all recorded in our respective cities.
Absolutely. And like the thing is too, like when this person was saying like oh, you know, she was being too bossy, like well, what the fuck else was I supposed to do when you aren't going to be collaborating with me, when you aren't going to be bouncing,
Yeah.
when you're saying, oh, we don't need to do any harmonies on the bridge, what the fuck else am I supposed to do, not take charge? Like this is something that I
Right.
care about so deeply, my name is on it, like we both have
Yeah.
a fan base, like
And we're invest
care
like,
about
for people who don't know, like music's very expensive to make. It's not even just the trip, it's the producer fee, it's the mixing fee. Like we're going to put everything we have into this. And like I said, like I was really throwing the producer a bone here with this phone call. Like, I'm like thinking, like, God, like I'm like, why are you being rude, snippy to me now? Like that was actually crazy. And then so basically they would say their piece, I would rebuttal it with something like, yes, but, like okay, that's how you feel. But at the end of the day, this is how Haley feels. And I will tell you, as the person who was kind of on the outside here, I understand why she feels that way. I don't want to believe that this is what your intention was. So, they're apologizing would do a lot right now. And it was basically just the producer didn't want to take accountability for it, like at all. And then it turned into them talking about how we quote unquote have a lot to learn about the music industry. And when they said that, I was like,
1 second, my child just screamed. 1 second.
oh my God,
Wanted to play. So right now she's learning to bark.
be
Sometimes
good.
her barks sound like yelps. Um
Oh, that's
so
so sweet.
because she's still learning. She's literally 8 weeks old, but like she's not dying right now. My job is
No.
to keep this bitch alive, and I will do so with my entire chest.
Yes. But yeah, so when they said, and like I said, y'all, like, yeah, this producer's correct. We do have a lot to learn about that. I mean, we're still very we've been in the music industry for a while, but we're not veterans by any means. Yeah, of course we have a lot to learn. In the context of the sentence, it was like that was meant to be a dig. That was not meant to be a, hey, here's a word of advice. Like that was definitely that's when I knew for sure that, like, oh, this truly is just a respect situation, not a giant miscommunication. Like, of course, I knew, like, in my gut that this had something to do with some misogyny, but like, when the producer said that, I was like, oh God, like, this is, and it was just the way too. Like, I mean, God, I was like, I was speaking in a tone I'm speaking in right now, very neutral, right? And the producer's tone was just so, like, it was, very defensive, very argumentative. And I'm like, why, like, wait, like, I'm not even the one you're really mad at. If anything, I feel like you should be grateful I'm giving you this opportunity to make things right, and not completely burn a bridge here. And yeah, so pretty much from there, I got the producer to agree to have a phone call with Haley. And then from there, what was your experience like, Haley?
So for context with this, as soon as this phone call happened between Rini and this person, Rini texted me and she was like, girl. And so like we got on the phone together and she told me this and I was like, oh my fucking God. Like the audacity of men when they think they can speak. Actually, I just want to end that sentence there. But but no, actually, but like in all seriousness, so like the audacity of men when they think that they have the right to speak to a woman in such a disrespectful way, it's infuriating. It's so infuriating, and it's like what we were saying before. If we were men, or male presenting, this wouldn't have happened. I
Definitely not to the like extreme extent it did. And I would also like to point out as well, I felt insane having to have this professionalism talk with this person. I don't want to be that person to point out age, but I will say this person is married with children. And the 19-year-old had to explain professional behavior, and I was gobsmacked. Like, I'm not only angry, but I'm really sad because when you realize it's someone you thought was a champion of yours and was a friend and an ally and someone you trust, and they turn out not to be, it's really disheartening. So it's like, if anything, I'm more sad for the situation. Like, why
too, because
can't
you
you
were
be
such
better?
a talented producer. All of my friends, when I was showing them this on, they were like, "Oh my god, like this production eats," and I'm like, "No, it's can't work with
Like, no, like, literally,
production."
I will give the producer the flowers where they deserve. I'm not going to deny that, yeah, the song slaps, the production devoured, but unfortunately, that kind of becomes irrelevant when that person turns out to not be very kind, you know?
The end of the day, and this doesn't just go for the music industry. I truly believe that this is a thing in every single industry. Like how how talented you are, how good you are at the job is only like 10% of the equation. The other
Totally.
90% is how good of a person you are and how and just like how who you
How
know,
do you,
how well
how
you
do people feel when they work with you, you
yeah,
know?
and like
Yeah.
how do you make someone feel when you are in the room with them? Do you have good vibes? And if you don't have good vibes, you're not going to be introduced to someone else who maybe could change your life, who maybe could give you an opportunity that you would have never had before. And like yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so fucking talented and I hate that I can't not can't because like I'm sure like I absolutely like could work with them again, but it's just like I I don't want to be disrespected. I'm
Yeah. And
both of us are worth so much more than being disrespected by a man.
Oh, and also, this is also a side note for the phone call. The funniest, this one was, I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of goofy. Um, they literally said, "You guys have champagne taste on a beer budget," and I literally, in my mind, I'm thinking this producer gave us their specific rate. We did not negotiate it
Tell me
whatsoever.
that. That's actually iconic as fuck, low key.
Like, it's actually, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of devoured with that line.
Champagne
Like,
taste
I was
on a
like,
beer budget. You know what? Honestly though, shit, that's my life. Yes, like if I could afford, you know what? We're manifesting here. I will eventually afford the life that I was meant to have and the life that I so want to have.
yeah.
Because I do have champagne taste. Holy shit, I do, and I absolutely do have a beer budget.
It was just the funniest. I'm not even gonna, like, that was kind of like that was like sassy man apocalypse kicking in, with that comment. So I was like, wow, okay. So that was the funny side note from the conversation. But yeah, so it was just so anywho, so Haley then talks with this producer. And you told me your conversation was pretty civil.
The funny part of it was like it was so civil considering the producer didn't know that I knew the conversation that
Right.
she had with me. Oh my god, she just
Yeah.
um and I'm like, oh my god, is my child dying? Not yet, not yet, Toaster.
Not no, yeah, it is
Toaster,
crazy.
you can't die yet. I spent $dollars on you yesterday.
Yeah.
And I have a beer budget, so
And yes,
um
she's the epitome of champagne taste on a beer budget.
I do. Look, the amount of money I spent this week because also I had to pay rent this week too, and then I
Oh
bought
my god.
a dog. And then she had her first vet appointment. Sometimes it's sexy to have two digits in your bank account, and let's normalize it. So
Her.
but in all seriousness though, like the producer didn't know that I knew what the phone call was with Rainey when they called, and they were so civil to me. And then the kicker was they said, "I'm sorry you felt that way," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, 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 no." We're like, I didn't. Granted, I did not say it like this. If I was a bitch, if I was like actually a bitch, I would have. But I was like, no, 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 like I can't.
Yeah.
My heart won't let me. But I so desperately wanted to be like, oh, no, 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 we're not going to play that fucking game. Like, it's not a matter of whether I felt this way. It is a matter of two people. It is a two against one situation now. Not to, like, back you into a corner, but you backed me into a corner in the room. So,
Right.
karma's a bitch.
Well, and it's like it's the whole phrase of like your feelings are valid, but your actions weren't. It's
Yeah.
like maybe who knows? I can't get inside this producer's head. I don't know what possessed them to be the way that they were, but like, you know, okay, let's say that they felt overpowered in the studio, all right, but that doesn't give you an excuse to be passive aggressive and incredibly demeaning to your clients.
Here's the thing, like, again, like I said before, this conversation was very, very, very civil. I know that I'm
Mm-hmm.
being like super sassy right now, and I'm like, oh, haha, like moving to New York, it's made me confrontational. It's made me confrontational to an extent. Like, I'm still a nice person, but if I wasn't, the conversation would have gone a lot differently. But
Right.
like them, they have every right, like what you were saying, they have every right to feel the way that they felt. And if they would have told me that on the phone, I would have been like, I'm sorry for like all of the miscommunication. There, like, I would have apologized. Oh my god, like, I never want someone to feel uncomfortable in a room. But
Right.
they never said that once. Instead,
Yeah.
they said, I'm sorry that things went down the way that they went down, and I'm sorry that you felt the way that you did.
Yeah. And the craziest thing is after this phone call ends and we kind of we get the final mixes from the producer, we start getting like they start becoming very complimentary in the text thread. And it was kind of, I don't know, it felt weird given like what we were dealing with earlier. We're like, wait, what's the switch up for? Like it was giving almost like damage control. I don't know. But yeah, so we wanted to give you guys a much more fun episode. We literally wanted to make this episode all about the great experience that we were going to have with.
We can make it more fun in a second. Let me bring out the main event. Poster Poster pooped on potty mat, and because of that, you get a treat. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, you do. You stunk up my whole kitchen. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Oh, thank you. Your breath smells like shit. I love you so much. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Yay, everyone. Well, I'm gonna let you digest, but everyone say yay, toaster. Yay,
Huzzah!
she is the fun part of this episode for sure.
Yeah, she is the fun part. We couldn't make it all of the downer. But
Yeah.
that was kind of the premise of it, y'all, where it was just a case of we really, like, when we were planning Sick and Serving and Pickaxe and everything, we're like, season episode 2 is going to be, maybe we'll even have the producer on the podcast. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so great. And unfortunately, we couldn't, obviously we weren't going to fake that it was something that it wasn't. And yeah, we wanted to be real. But yeah, so I don't know. Is there any final thoughts we should add to this debrief?
I think the final thought is if you feel disrespected in any setting that you're in, don't feel afraid to speak up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you are. You as a human being deserve respect. Doesn't matter
Yes, fundamentally.
based on a beer budget. You
Yes, that's the quote of the season.
that's the episode title.
Serving champagne taste on a beer budget.
Yeah,
Oh, that is great. I love
yeah.
that.
Toaster, do you have anything?
She's like, nah, y'all are so boring. Like, no one's gonna watch this. No one likes you.
Yeah, Toaster's the ultimate hater.
She is. She is.
Yeah.
She's the only one who's allowed to hate us. Well, we love y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sick and Serving.
We have very exciting things happening.
We have some exciting things. I can tell y'all about my November 14th show in Los Angeles. Reniacs, Fanatics, pull up if you live in LA or willing to drive to LA. And yeah, stay tuned for more amazing music and stories to come from Haley and myself.
Yes. And now we have a
Per
amazing stories to come from her.
yeah. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I exposed you. I exposed you like that. I won't do that again. I'll put you in the
I
box.
exposed you like that. That's crazy. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
I think it is too. I love you guys.
Yeah.